Everything changed in an instant when I heard my husband's harsh tone over the phone. He sharply questioned why I always fell apart when he needed me the most, completely indifferent to the fact that I was in the hospital, worried sick about our baby's well-being. Instead of offering support, he grumbled about his hunger and the lack of my home-cooked meals, saying he was too impatient to wait and planned to eat out with his parents. This left me to figure out how to make my way back from the hospital. His words only heightened my anxiety and sorrow, amplifying my fears for our unborn child's safety and my ability to protect them. I had once been a committed cosmetic salesperson, recognized for my diligence and success, with many accolades to my name. Falling in love with my husband had felt like a fairy tale, and our courtship quickly led to marriage. But after discovering my pregnancy, I faced the difficult decision to leave my job to reduce the risk of miscarriage, prioritizing the well-being of our future family. As my pregnancy progressed, my husband's support dwindled. The initial excitement had given way to irritation, and daily tasks became Herculean efforts. I struggled to meet his expectations, and his constant inquiries about lunch, along with his dismissive comments about the simple meals I managed to prepare, left me feeling disheartened. He trivialized my pregnancy challenges, refusing to acknowledge them as legitimate health concerns, which made me feel isolated and unsupported. This was a stark departure from the man I had fallen deeply in love with. He stopped attending doctor's appointments and showed little interest in the household duties that became increasingly difficult for me. Our home, once a haven of love and respect, had turned into a battleground of constant strife as I fought to safeguard both myself and our baby. Despite these trials, I clung to the hope that understanding and patience would return to our relationship. Perhaps he was just overwhelmed and stressed from mentoring a newcomer at work. I reassured myself that things might improve once the baby arrived and his workload eased. I often whispered words of encouragement to my growing belly, trying to maintain a positive outlook despite my physical discomfort and the tension at home. Unfortunately, my husband's behavior didn't improve. To make matters worse, my in-laws began dropping by unannounced, complicating everything further. They would critique the cleanliness of our home and express concern about how we would manage with the baby. Yet they still expected immediate service when it came to meals. These visits left me feeling defeated and anxious, and my husband siding with their criticisms only deepened my sense of inadequacy. One day, while heavily pregnant, I went out to buy groceries but ended up collapsing from sheer exhaustion. When I regained consciousness in the hospital, relief washed over me to hear that our baby was unharmed, but the doctor advised several days of rest. I noticed missed calls from my husband on my phone, hoping for some sign of his concern when I returned his call. Instead of comfort, his first words were sharp and accusatory. "Where have you been?" His indifference to my well-being and our baby's safety chilled me to the bone. I tried to explain. "I'm sorry. I collapsed at the store and found myself in the hospital. They had put me on IV fluids and wanted me to stay for a few days to recover." When I called my husband to explain, his response was curt and lacking any empathy. "You collapse and I'm supposed to care? Why don't you answer when I call?" "You're so slow," he retorted, worsening my distress. Overwhelmed by his harshness, I pleaded, "Please stop yelling. It's not good for the baby." But he dismissed my concerns, continuing to complain, "We're starving here waiting for your awful cooking, and you're just relaxing in the hospital." It was clear that he preferred dining out with his parents rather than being there for me in my time of need. This realization only deepened the stark negativity surrounding our home environment, an atmosphere I feared would envelop our child. The sharp sting of my husband's anger and apparent indifference felt crushing. I hung up the phone, feeling utterly abandoned and heartbroken as I shuffled back to my hospital room, tears flooding my cheeks, a stark reflection of my vulnerability. In that low moment, a familiar, comforting voice reached out to me. "Are you okay?" Looking up, I saw Elizabeth, a cherished acquaintance from my days as a cosmetic salesperson, extending a comforting towel toward me. Seeing her again brought me an immense sense of relief and warmth. "Elizabeth, it's you. I'm so glad you remember me." Our unexpected meeting felt like a beacon of kindness and connection in my darkest hour. To me, Elizabeth was more than just a client. After a difficult divorce that had eroded her confidence and led her to shun makeup completely, I had approached her at the cosmetics counter one day, eager to help her rediscover some joy in self-care. The transformation wasn't just about her appearance. It revitalized her self-esteem and marked a significant step in her emotional recovery. Over time, Elizabeth became a friend rather than just a client. However, about 6 years before I resigned from my job, Elizabeth stopped visiting, and I often wondered about her whereabouts. Now, here she was, offering support when I needed it most. I had been hoping to reconnect with you, Elizabeth. I admitted I was surprised yet grateful as Elizabeth explained her absence. I'm sorry for just showing up out of the blue, she said. I've been working abroad, running a business overseas. It's been hectic and I haven't had a chance to enjoy summer or good food in ages. Her words trailed off, but her presence was a profound comfort, reminding me of the bonds that could sustain me through tough times. When Elizabeth mentioned she had just returned and sought me out, her laughter lightened the mood. Believe it or not, right after I got back, I tried to find you, she chuckled. It turned out that Elizabeth had returned with a mild health scare, a phthisis, which fortunately had been caught early and was easily treatable with medication. If this had happened while I was still overseas, the treatment costs would have been astronomical, she explained. So, in a way, I'm glad it happened here. Her optimism and warm smile were infectious, lifting my spirits as we joyfully reminisced about old times. As our conversation deepened, Elizabeth's expression turned thoughtful. You don't have to talk about it if you don't want to, but you seemed quite upset earlier. What's going on? Trusting Elizabeth not just as a former client but as a genuine friend, I confided in her about my current struggles with my husband and in-laws. I'm really worried about bringing my baby into this environment. I'm afraid they'll be treated the same way I am, and without my job, the idea of living independently, especially with a child, feels daunting. To my astonishment, Elizabeth made an incredibly generous offer. I actually have an apartment you could use. I manage a few properties from a project I started with the land I inherited. It's a cozy 3-bedroom with a separate bathroom, solid roof, and good walls. It's in a safe neighborhood, close to supermarkets and a police station. You wouldn't need to pay a deposit right now, and you can start paying rent whenever you're ready. It's a really good deal. What do you think? Elizabeth's excitement and sincerity were palpable, and I couldn't help but laugh, overwhelmed by her kindness. Are you sure you can offer it at such great terms? I asked. She replied confidently, absolutely. I trust you'll take good care of the place, and I think it's important to support each other during tough times. Her gesture was a profound reminder of the goodness in the world, just when I needed it most. You're more than welcome to stay there, Elizabeth assured me with a warm, comforting smile. Her unexpected kindness felt like a beam of light in my dark times, offering not just a place to stay but also a chance for a new beginning. Overwhelmed by her generosity, I felt a glimmer of hope for the future. I gratefully accepted her offer, and a few days later, after the doctors had cleared me, I didn't return to the home I shared with my husband. Instead, I moved straight into the apartment Elizabeth had arranged for me. She had handled everything over the phone with such ease and kindness that I was left in awe. As I settled into Elizabeth's cozy and welcoming apartment, a twinge of guilt crept in for not paying rent immediately, but she brushed it off with a laugh, insisting that I shouldn't worry about it. While my husband was at work, I took the opportunity to go back to our old house to collect my belongings. The place felt strangely hollow and abandoned, mirroring the emptiness inside me. But Elizabeth's support extended far beyond just providing shelter. She connected me with a lawyer who had previously helped her, which solidified my decision to file for divorce. The lawyer was encouraging, and with each visit to the hospital confirming my baby's health, my resolve strengthened. One day, as I was leaving the hospital, my heart sank at the sight of my husband John, waiting for me. Panic set in, and despite my attempts to leave quickly, my pregnancy slowed me down. He confronted me, demanding answers about the lawyer and our new living arrangement. Gripping my arm tightly, stating my ground, I insisted that any discussions about divorce, compensation, or child support should be conducted through my lawyer. I refused to go home with him. Just then, a young woman named Lisa intervened. She introduced herself and stepped protectively in front of me, her tense interaction with John revealing an underlying strain. Lisa firmly told him that he couldn't force me to leave against my will. Her bold stance was a stark contrast to my vulnerability, providing an unexpected layer of support when I needed it most. Lisa's firm resolve, coupled with her threat to call the police, dramatically shifted the dynamics of the situation, giving me the much-needed boost of hope and courage to stand my ground. Seeing her determination, John quickly retreated, fear evident in his hurried exit. Overwhelmed with relief, my knees nearly gave way beneath me. Lisa promptly came over to support me, asking with genuine concern, "Are you okay?" I apologized, feeling a rush of emotions, but she brushed it off and immediately hailed a taxi to ensure I got home safely. Despite my protests about troubling her, she reassured me it was no bother at all. When I shared my address with her, she was surprised to discover that I lived just below her. What a serendipitous twist that we were neighbors. Lisa, always cheerful and kind, revealed that she was a new employee at John's workplace. She had reported his inappropriate conduct, which had resulted in him being stripped of his mentorship role. John had a history of insensitivity, especially towards female colleagues, often making inappropriate remarks about personal matters such as menstruation and marriage. Lisa confided that the issues with John extended beyond professional boundaries, something I had painfully experienced during my pregnancy. In the 2 weeks since our encounter, Lisa and I had grown close, frequently sharing meals and conversations. She informed me that due to multiple complaints, John had been reassigned to a subsidiary of the company. Intriguingly, Lisa turned out to be the daughter of Elizabeth, the very Elizabeth who owned the apartment I was now living in. I was staying in the apartment, reflecting on how John had often boastfully mentioned managing Elizabeth's account, only to face a demotion due to his poor conduct. Elizabeth had been instrumental in holding him accountable for his actions at work and towards me. Lisa, motivated by her desire to address workplace issues based on her own merits, acted upon realizing my connection to her mother. Elizabeth encouraged Lisa to take proactive steps, emphasizing the importance of standing up against inappropriate behavior in any environment. This revelation deepened the bond between us, as we both appreciated the strength and support stemming from our shared experiences. With John's diminished role and increased responsibilities at work affecting his income, he found himself in a drastically altered position. Elizabeth, leveraging her extensive experience, counseled me to stand firm and not succumb to John's attempts to elicit sympathy. This guidance proved invaluable as I moved forward with my decision to divorce him. Despite John's attempts to reach out through our lawyer, sharing tales of his difficult job situation and expressing longing and apologies, I remained resolute, staunchly supported by Elizabeth. Ultimately, John had no option but to accept the divorce and agree to the terms, which included child support and compensation. As I navigated this new chapter, another challenge arose with my in-laws, particularly my father-in-law, who was overly enthusiastic about the baby being a boy. I sensed the undercurrents of impending issues, and soon enough, my in-laws made their intentions clear. One day, as I was leaving the house, my father-in-law confronted me aggressively, grabbing my arm and declaring that once the baby was born, I must relinquish him to the family, claiming the baby was the rightful heir. Despite my attempts to break free, his grip was unyielding. At that moment, Lisa's commanding voice cut through the tension. With her expertise in judo skills honed to protect herself and her mother during tough times, she intervened swiftly, employing a maneuver to release me from his hold. Lisa, a nationally recognized judoka, sternly reprimanded my father-in-law for his disregard of John's behavior and his intrusive demands on my life. She staunchly defended my right to a fresh start and made it clear that any further meddling was unacceptable. Just then, the sound of approaching sirens signaled that help was on the way. Lisa had prudently called the police before stepping in to assist me. My mother-in-law, who had been observing from a nearby car, remained silent as the police arrived and detained both her and my father-in-law. The arrest of my father-in-law was a pivotal moment, prompting my mother-in-law to reflect and ultimately decide to divorce him, signaling a significant shift in my tumultuous family relations. When John tried to convince his mother to let him accompany her to start anew in the countryside, she firmly refused, communicating through the lawyer to apologize for her previous actions and leaving some money as a gesture of goodwill. Elizabeth helped me understand that such gestures often stem from a desire for forgiveness and an intention to contribute to my son's future, especially after a significant life change like leaving a marriage. Although I was surprised by her turnaround, given her prior behavior, I appreciated her efforts to make amends. Once the divorce was finalized, I welcomed a healthy baby boy into the world, choosing solitude over a troubled life with John. My mother-in-law moved to the countryside, while when my father-in-law was released from custody, he discovered that she had demolished their house before leaving. With nowhere else to go, he moved in with John, compounding their issues and eventually leading to John's resignation due to his tarnished reputation. Despite these upheavals, child support payments were consistently handled, likely facilitated by Elizabeth and the lawyer. Lisa's courage and integrity at work did not go unnoticed. She was promoted to project leader, earning the respect and admiration of her peers. Elizabeth's various initiatives, including projects for women-only properties and housing for foreigners, continued to thrive. As for me, once my son was old enough, I planned to rejoin the workforce. Elizabeth graciously offered me a position at a new high-end cosmetics store she was launching. Both Elizabeth and Lisa continued to be a great source of support, showing immense affection for my son and treating him as if he were Elizabeth's grandchild. Lisa also made time to visit us regularly. Their unwavering strength and kindness were not only a comfort during my most challenging times but also a powerful example of the resilience and protectiveness I aspire to embody for my son. Inspired by these remarkable women, I was determined to provide the same level of strength and protection for my son as they had for me.